You heard about Alan Sylvan, who was a board member of PopTech. And we're now going to hear from Aaron Powers, who is a partner at Sylvan. He leads the business growth company in the United States. He has a background that spans business and innovation, brand strategy, design, and advertising. He's worked on campaigns for organizations like Spotify, Viacom, American Express, Braclo, Coral, and many, many more. And in summary, he is a leader named Aaron, whose strategies left clients starving. With brands brought to life and creativity rife, he transformed without ever declaring.
Thank you for that limerick. How y'all doing? Everybody doing all right? All right, can you do one thing for me real quick? Just give me, like, if you can, just a little stretch, yeah? And then just like stretch over to the left. You can do my left. Yeah, it's all right. And then just mixing all up. And now I'll go to the other direction, stretch that way, and then just give me a little, yeah? All right. I have a question for you about this number. It represents the annual earnings of one of the most lucrative professions in the US right now. Do you have any guesses? And I actually want you to shout out a little bit. What profession do you think earns this $240 million per year?
Electricians.
Electricians, they should, but I don't know that that's it.
Plumbers.
Plumbers, let's keep on going down this road. I like this.
Lawyers.
Hedge fund managers.
Psychics.
Hedge fund managers, psychics, one more. Lawyers, all right. You're influencers, all right. Y'all are getting... Jeff Bezos. You're super, super close. It is not lawyers. It is not hedge fund managers. It is not even NBA players. It's actually OnlyFans creators. So this is Mia Khalifa. She's the top OnlyFans earner, and she rakes in about $6.2 million a month. And some of you might know her, even though many of you are pretending that you don't know her right now. That's okay, no shame. And really, in many ways, OnlyFans started as a platform that exists at the intersection of capitalism and voyeurism. And we've engaged in voyeurism for centuries. Take the mythical Peeping Tom back in 1769. He's the legendary tailor who watched a nude Lady Godiva ride through Coventry in protest of taxes, or well-paying hole lookers in brothels in the 1800s, or the mukbangs of TikTok today, or the work of Hitchcock. As originally defined, voyeurism is the activity of getting pleasure from secretly watching other people in sexual situations. But alongside creative innovations in media and technology, voyeurism has grown beyond its sexually charged definition to something much, much broader: the viewing of anything that feels private or personal. Before social media, reality TV, gossip columns, or society pages, the people whose lives we observed most intimately were those that were generally in close proximity to us. But we're no longer satisfied, as we were in the days of Edward Hopper, by satisfying these instincts just by peering through the neighbor's window while they feed their baby, put away their laundry, or had a fight with their spouse. Our window is now our phone screen, and we have more intimate access to virtually anyone, anywhere in the world. With a few quick swipes or clicks, you can know the skincare routines, birth control types, living room furniture configurations, Venmo transactions, wish lists, and diets of your neighbor, their siblings, and the influencers that they watch on the other side of the planet. In fact, these people often invite you to witness them. And when you think about it, our digital lives are not unlike Ratchet and Clank. Shout out to any of the PlayStation fans up in the room. Jumping from universe to universe in the blink of an eye. As Sherry King puts it, today our screens do not exist to monitor us, but for us to monitor others, turning us into the supervisors of each other's behaviors. Modern voyeurism's delightfully transgressive intimacy is exactly why we engage with it in so many ways. And this is what I'm here to talk about today. What once was seen as a private pastime done in secrecy, sometimes in shame, is now done casually, often, and by all of us. But when is enough enough? How do we handle our overindulging, when we overindulge our impulse to watch others? And at what point do we start asking ourselves, who you peeping on, Tom? Voyeurism has infiltrated most aspects of our society in the world of politics and government. We seek out the intimate, beyond the scenes details of our politicians through their personal socials, and expect politicians to react to our millions of individual needs in real time, in depth, and with compassion. The bar has been raised sky high from the fireside chats of FDR. In the world of tech, AI is literally a form of voyeurism. We knowingly or unknowingly feed it intimate details that define our personalities, tastes, our relationships, and more, and consume the intimate details of others when we use things like ChatGPT. It's data voyeurism. And in the world of mental health, psych speech has wildly heightened our expectations of what is reasonable as far as knowing, understanding, and communicating our deepest subconscious emotions. And perhaps, obviously, the world of business, from the explosive influencer economy to the rise of user-generated content that feels more real, intimate, and approachable, and even to art direction and treatments and broadcast messages, it's all going back to the gaze of the voyeur. And all of these things beg the question, why? Why have cultures around the globe steered innovation in media and technology toward this urge? What are the positives and negatives of this pervasive phenomenon? And most importantly, what are the lasting impacts on our psyches when we whiplash between watching and being the watched? In terms of watching, voyeurism can fill the gap that the loneliness epidemic is leaving behind. It can make us feel more intimately connected with others, even if it's not IRL. But intimacy and connection metastasize when we overindulge. When we blindly seek hits of synthetic connection through content, we become desensitized, and intimacy loses effect. Voyeurism also grants us safe, private access to experiences that are physically risky or socially unacceptable. But taken to extremes, when taken to extremes, we can lose our self-protective sense of danger. We start to lose sight of repercussions, and our sense of invincibility can sneak in, potentially shifting innocent behaviors into something counterproductive at least, something dark at worst. When we're watched, on the other hand, our sense of vulnerability is engaged. Our self-esteem can be fed by letting others into our unvarnished worlds, which is generally positive. But it can also lead to heavy, unhealthy scrutiny. When access becomes persistent and unrestricted, impossible standards, harsh criticism, and over-surveillance inevitably emerge. And finally, voyeurism can make the unknowable aspirational. Things we never even knew existed, whether that be other cultures, ways of life, products, experiences, places, can become new North Stars for our sense of growth, maturity, and esteem. But when we're constantly watched, we start to see ourselves only through the eyes of others. Impressing becomes more important than growing. Boundaries can become blurred or lost. We lose touch with who we really are, and superficiality supersedes substance. Stop binging voyeurism. When voyeurism is binged to excess, we observe and stop taking action. When voyeurism is binged to excess, we become hollow, concerned about what is perceived rather than what is. When voyeurism is binged to excess, we're reduced to a society of watchers, craving the approval of watchers who are consumed by being watched themselves. We need to balance our voyeurism diet, encourage ourselves to search for homeostasis, monitor our moods, track our triggers, and it's critical that we do. Not just for ourselves, but for wider progress. You may be familiar with the internet's most famous recent star, a pygmy hippo named Moodang. She's only a few months old and lives in the Khao Keo Open Zoo in Chonburi, Thailand, south of Bangkok. And since she's been born, her whole life has been on display. From photos of her biting zookeepers to a 24/7 live stream of all of her daily activities. And according to her keeper, I think I am close with her to the point I can share lovely day-to-day activities. Most people like that, and watching her grow up. And he's right. Our voyeuristic instincts have no bounds. We're even obsessed with the mundane habits of a baby hippo. So much so that Mudang has gone viral across all social platforms, inspiring countless jokes and memes and appearances on SNL. It's voyeurism, yes, but it's joyful. It's connective, collaborative, and in the case of Mudang, it's also bringing greater awareness to the pygmy hippo, which is an endangered species. This is why we can't write off voyeurism entirely. It has a place in the right doses and in the right moments. As someone once said to me that was very important, anything can be a medicine or a poison. It just depends on the dose. All of us in this room, brands, business leaders, scientists, creatives, tech enthusiasts, students, we play a role in modern day binging of voyeurism. How do we balance our diets? How do we balance our collective diets? And to do that in order to fuel empathy, to reduce loneliness. And more importantly, the big question I want to leave you with today is how do we reckon with our complicity in this? Aren't businesses actually incentivized to weaponize our addiction to voyeurism? How can we use our own agency to break this pattern? Thank you.